kind of teleconferences you want to get in on. And this is what I always try to tell, you know, my WOMA friends, is don't spend a lot of money on this. There's a lot of stuff out here that you can get. Only spend the money when you figure out, in this plan, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to do this part of it, so who would I go to? Because I think that your answers will be here. If I go to Google and I just say ICD-10 crosswalk, here's the ICD-9 to ICD-10 converter. You see how easy that is? So I'm going to just kind of show you how this works, and then you'll get to see the format. I'll land the plane and get you what the format looks like, because I know you asked that question. Oh, it's loading. It's a little bit slow. So we got a quick start trainer. This is MGMA. Oh, this isn't the one I wanted though. There's a bunch of them out here. And I actually think that's the AMA. These are my favorites. If I put this in, everybody knows this code, right? What is that? Yeah.
You see that's R10.
Here it is. So it's ic9data.com. So what you have here is, it tells you what it is, and right here it says, convert this into ICD-10. So it becomes I-10, alphanumeric. Yeah. Anybody use this website? Your staff right now, when you think about being prepared, if you have cheat sheets, they could go through here and they could take your little encounter forms or whatever you call them, and they could map your whole, all of the codes that you use in your practice using this.
I'm in solo practice and plan to be so for another 10 years plus. When I assign my diagnosis codes these days, I just kind of, I keep it simple. Like for instance, chest pain, my cheat sheet on chest pain, I just go to one that it's the simplest one. And right now, I just don't want to be found guilty of fraud or those kinds of things. So it doesn't make a hell of a difference which one actually pertains to my my progress note. I just want to make, and I'm very satisfied with what I'm being reimbursed at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the philosophy by which I select my numbers right now out of ICD-9. I just want to be simple, and I don't want to be paid any more than what I'm being paid. Now, when we go to the ICD-10, and now I have 200 choices for chest pain. Can I continue to use that philosophy if I'm satisfied with what I'm being paid for right now?
Well, you could, it would depend on your, right now we know that there are no penalties for non-specific codes. I listened to United Healthcare speak last month. They plan at some point of penalizing for, non-specific documentation. But there's still non-specific codes in ICD-10. Don't let any consultant tell you there's not. There is. You saw it with hypertension. 401.9 is a non-specific hypertension, and it moved to I-10. But for instance, if I were to put in, I think it's 7, 8, 9 for chest pain. What'd you say, 7, 8? Is that abdominal? Yeah. Yeah. Let me do another one. Go through all the new, there's so much free stuff out here that you can do any of this. Let's see.
So as long as one is being satisfied with what they're being paid at, you can continue to be non-specific with ICD-10 until you start getting penalized, which may or may not happen in a solo practice with a small volume of patients, because you're not going to be audited. They're not going to target folks like me very often. I've never been audited, from that standpoint.
Right. But I think that what we're seeing, we'll wait and see what Congress decides here soon. But with the new models, like even the new model of healthy options that's coming out July 1st, there's sort of a new way that physicians are gonna be reimbursed in the future. I don't know what, if your practice is primary care or, but for instance, for primary care physicians who have a panel of patients, you'll be paid fee for service, kind of that old way will be sort of in this arena where you'll get paid on your CPT code, but basically you'll also get paid for the severity of your patient panels. So if you're diagnosing something very general that's not specific, when we talk about the top 11 diagnoses, COPD, diabetes, CHF, some of those things, then it will affect your reimbursement.
How many years down the line do you think that's coming?
Next year, I'm on contracts right now like that. Are you at Peace Health?
We're, migrating that way.
Oh, yeah. You know, there is a potential for a large group where the documentation and the diagnosis coding sync up for millions of dollars. So if you take that down a notch and you know, use a dividend of maybe one practitioner, it's still gonna be worth $10,000, 15,000, maybe 20,000, depends on, you know, your population. And that is the same type of reimbursement model that they're gonna be using for the new Medicaid plans that are coming in. So there's, you know, 4 new companies that are coming in. There's Centene, there's United, Molina, and CHPW, and all of them are going to be on a severity risk, which means diagnosis coding, specificity in it is going to be important for reimbursement. And it's another reason why people are moving to this format.
What is the purpose of making this already complicated system more complicated? And the other question I have is, how do you know what they're actually going to pay for as a code? Because when I do my own billing, and like a lot of times they're like, oh, well, no, we don't accept that one, and we don't accept that one, and, you know, so I don't know if that's gone away, but can you, so the first question was the first, the second question is, how do you know out of this humongous amount of codes now, what they're actually going to accept?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a valid ICD-9 code, I'll answer that one first. They'll accept it. Will it risk adjust? That means, will you get paid more for the patient that has that diagnosis code? There's a list of those out there right now. They're called DXCGs or HCCs, and they're a severity rating of a patient. So your behavioral health, so you have a patient that, you know, is in remission, depression in remission, you get paid for that. If you use a generalized depression diagnosis, not, you know, just something like an anxiety or something, which a lot of primary care docs use, but not necessarily behavioral health specialists, but that does not risk adjust. And that, so if you're using your mentality of saying, well, I just am billing it this way because you get paid off that CPT code and you're happy with that, so you make them all just kind of like situationally depressed and not major depression in remission because they're on medication for a long time, you lose that one in and of itself. That risk adjusts for about $5,000 extra to the health plan per year to take care of that patient. Because what we're working out of in the new reimbursement model are what we call predictive models. It's predicting what that patient's going to cost us. It's predicting what it's going to cost the physician in time to take care of that patient based on this disease group that they're in. So that's kind of that new reimbursement model that's coming in.
And based on the severity or the level of care and the,
Yeah.
so
So say-
basically if we have a lot of people that are in remission of their illness and we're primary care, we aren't gonna get paid very much.
In remission, if it's major depression in remission, you're gonna get paid extra. If you code that as generalized depression, you're gonna get paid nothing extra for that.
So there's
patient.
actually gonna be an incentive for primary care to keep their patients well.
Yes.
Are you serious? I mean, is this really gonna happen? Okay.
I mean, it's happening for us right now. This is all, you said it, it's all outcome based. You keep your patients well, you keep them out of the hospital, you do the things that you need to do for them. Anybody doing these annual well visits for
Oh,
yeah.
all the time.
So, here again, we're doing a risk assessment questionnaire there, because we're trying to figure out, are they gonna fall, what services do they need, what have they not had in preventive? And we're trying to code those chronic conditions, so we know that we know that we need to get them into something that's more attentive care, and that's gonna be all based, those disease registries are gonna be all based on the diagnosis coding. ICD-10 has that specificity that lets